Hey guys, it's me. I'm back. Sorry for the small hiatus. I put up the DD2 video as a sort of filler video, as I do with most of my gameplay videos, uh, in the hopes that, like, hey, that'll keep someone's eyes on me, maybe, uh, while I sort through getting ideas and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden I got emotional, so then I just didn't want to record anything for a while. Did record yesterday, however, as I sip water. I did record yesterday. It wasn't good. I scrapped it. I would have made a community post like I did that first time, or rather, like I did 7 days ago at the time of recording this. But at the time, I had just put out the poll for if you would have to be a nutrient block or a nutrient paste, and I didn't want to spam your guys' feeds with posts you likely don't care about. Speaking of polls and posts, I gotta hand it to my pal here. 8 likes, 178 views, 31 subscribers, and 12 comments. Now, not only is that a phenomenal first step for a small channel, it is more subscribers than I have. It is more views than compared to my most popular video. It is more likes on a single video than I have. Oh, we're tied now, actually. That's good. For my ego. Literally just for my ego. We're tied now for likes. But that's more comments than I have on anything, including that post that has the ridiculous 9, which is the highest I've got. And if it's just videos, it's 8 on a single video. I may sound bitter. That's mostly just because I'm in a weird state emotionally right now. I don't know why. I just crashed hard today in terms of emotion. I am genuinely proud of the man. I'd like to think I helped with linking his video in a post, and I sincerely do hope that you guys gave it a fair shake. If you do not, I suggest you go watch this video. It was a fun watch myself. In fact, I watched it twice over because, well, it just felt right to watch it twice, no? But go watch his video. With any luck, you'll have more stuff cooking in the background. Right? I'll give him some help. With any luck, he'll give me some help. We're friends after all, so I don't hold it against him, or I don't believe I'm bitter, right? I'm very happy. But right, I recorded this video yesterday. I didn't like the end result as such. Hell, I didn't even listen back to it. I knew it was that bad. It's still in my files. I don't know if I'll ever put it out there because it's just like I didn't like it. Which is strange because it made me rip out all the points I made, restructure them into a better format, and with any luck, this will be the superior video, huh? I guess we'll see. Sorry if I sound dour. Frankly, I might be. A lot of shit to think about later, and I don't even know what. So, me recording this right now, I was going to do it around 12, 12:15, something along those lines, because I think one of my brothers is still awake. Little tot that he is. But I just needed to feel like I was doing something. So, I don't know. We're here today to talk to you about party dynamics in your stories. Party, of course, being the synonym for group or, adventuring party, things like that. Your little cast of characters, so to speak. Now, to preface, I don't want you to think of this like, oh, this is the video on side characters, because it's not the video on side characters at all. As I move my ginger ale aside that I might open up during this video, depending on how bad my throat feels. I think I'm getting sick, so likely as a result of my shot sleeping schedule. Not the point. I don't want you to think this video is a video on side characters, because it's not. Nor is it a video on juggling multiple main characters, because weirdly it's not. A party member is more than a side character. It's a secondary character, which is different. They are not a group of 3 to 5, and I'll explain why I think 3 to 5 later. they're not a video of 3 to 5 people or main characters. They are instead the main character and their group of 2 to 4 secondary characters that act as a party member. So if you went into this specifically thinking I will do a video on only side characters, I don't think I'll ever do a video on only side characters, as those are points that are to be made in various videos. I don't think there's enough substance for a video dedicated on the whole to side characters. There's just not enough meat there. Speaking of video ideas, I've got one on the back burner. Kindly, genuinely, please give me some more video ideas, as I am running out. Hell, maybe I'll do Underwater myself. His will still put mine to shame, but still. We focus on different things. I guess, I hope, I don't know. We'll see. Oh, and answer on the poll, if you'd kindly. I want to know if you'd rather be nutrient blocker or nutrient paste. If you expected this video to be like sci-fi as a result of seeing that and like, oh yeah, cheese_stick1, nothing to do with future videos or anything you're planning, you cheeky dog. No, I was just curious. Anyway, sorry, I just had to sip some water. Whoop, get my phone out of there and put it off to the side. How much batteries this thing got? 30, damn. Didn't use you much at all today, huh? So, which one should we start with? Let's immediately start with what I think is the most important, is the party necessary for your story? Because frankly, are they? So, think to The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. Or the Fellowship, whatever the fuck it's called, right? I'll remember that I'm not a fan. I'd rather have never interacted with the material. Did I sip more water? Might crack open the ginger ale very soon. It'll help soothe the throat. So consider The Hobbit or the Fellowship of the Rings or whatever the hell it's called. That, as far as I'm aware, had to do with a small group and their adventure throughout the area. Party is synonymous with adventuring as the prefix, right? Adventuring party, adventuring group, what have you. In fantasy, it's basically a convention to have an adventuring party. But this is not necessary at all. Some stories, as I adjust my headphones, some stories just don't gel well with the need to have a party, or the idea of having a party, rather. Because sometimes you literally just don't need it. Or rather, it would go against the point of your story, right? Because not hell, some genres don't like it, right? Immediately coming to mind is cosmic horror, how I mentioned very often, like, isolationism is a great theme to draw upon for cosmic horror as a genre. So having a party would sort of undermine that. Obviously, huge disclaimer, if you do a thing correctly, then nothing is off the table, right? That blanket statement, but there is a reason that it's an exception rather than the rule. Sometimes you just might not want, sometimes you frankly just might not want to have a party, and as such, you don't put one in. Or you don't feel comfortable writing a party, or don't think you can write a party. And if you don't think you can, or don't feel comfortable writing X thing for the fear of I'll ruin it, I recommend you at least give it a draft first of all. You will shock yourself with what you are capable of doing. You are going to put yourself down more than you are going to lift yourself up. So give it a shot first, give it a fair shake, and then if you still don't like it, no one's holding you to it, right? Because that's an important thing to take note of as well. Does the author enjoy writing this? If the author enjoys writing it, it's great, because that, generally speaking, means there's a higher standard of quality. Because the author is enjoying it and ergo wants to do it properly, will consider scenes and plan things out accordingly for the sake of the readers, for the sake of their story, making things flow a lot better. Should the author not enjoy writing this, it does have a noticeable impact on the quality of the work. that sounds like rude, but keep in mind the author's a person when they make their content, and you should watch out for author health first and foremost because that is something that goes very understated. I don't know. Let's get fucking real for a second. I changed my mind. Let's not do that. Just take care of yourselves, alright? Also fix your posture right here and right now. And go get some water and get like an orange to snack on. Or if you're allergic, get a fruit you're not allergic to snack on. Anyway, your party is not a necessary thing for a story, right? You don't need these secondary characters. You don't need an intricate web of character interactions to have a successful, to have a good, to have a whatever story, right? Don't feel pressure to put one in because all the stories you read have one. If you don't want to, if your plot doesn't gel well with it, if you're unhappy with it, don't go ahead and don't do it, right? If you do want to, if your plot is only going to be strengthened by having a group, and if you enjoy writing it, I mean, shit, dog, go ahead. Do it justice, do your best, and I don't know, let me know how it turns out. Speaking of let me know how it turns out, sorry to cut myself off very quickly. In the most recent video, I believe, at the time of recording this, that being how monsters affect world building, at around the 45, 46, 47 minute mark, I gave a little sort of writing prompt challenge thing to my viewers, right? I don't want it to sound like, oh, I didn't get any engagement. Where's my fucking engagement? Instead, I want to ask you all, and I know I did on the community post, but nobody answered on the community post, so I'll ask here as well because I know more people watch the videos than they do interact with the community posts. Do we like the idea of me offering up these little writing challenges, writing prompt things in the videos? Or do you think it will just detract? Would you be interested at all with interacting with them? Or was this suggestion just a bad one? Or do you have absolutely no interest whatsoever in doing that in the comments and things like that? Right? I know it's ironic to end with that point, but please do give me feedback in the comments. If it's not something we like, I will refrain from doing it. If it's something we do want to explore more, right, I'll keep giving you guys like jumping on points. And of course, I will every single time throw my hat in the ring first. I'm not going to ask you to do anything I wouldn't myself. Um, that being said, there won't be one for today's video. Not because I don't, not because I'm gonna wait for you guys, right? I am my own man, of course, but rather just because, hey, uh, I don't know what prompt I could give for this at all, because it's such a kind of, because this is more of a planning video than it is a story video. This is something that like relates more to planning than it does like this. Obviously, it relates to both, but if you're fleshing out party dynamics, it's usually a planning thing rather than it is a world building or story related one. Thank you for your time, and we're going to get into the next point. Um, now that we've established whether or not you should even do a party member, party group, uh, an adventuring party, what have you, let's get into what your party will likely consist of. Archetypes. Lovely little things that they are, aren't they? Hmm? What are the easy archetypes? Well, let's consider it from an RPG perspective, because having it be in sort of combat-oriented mindset, because a lot of these stories will, have group members actively participate in combat, though it doesn't. I want it clear right now. Something more like a political drama where there's incredibly light amounts of violence and more instead of like sleuthing and slinking around. They still have party members just have a different stripe. Um, but for right now, let's take it slow, one at a time. We're going to consider it from the combat perspective. The typical RPG structure of tank, healer, DPS, that little trifecta. But yeah, he is definitely awake. I'm gonna crack this open right now real quick. So I think I know what caused the crisp snap not to pick up. I have a little improvised uh, pop filter on my headphones. Let me pluck that off. Alright, time for a crisp snap, right? I hope that caught. Let me just put that on there. This. Weird how the carbonation helps with that acidic feeling in the back of my throat. It might be because, you know, ginger. I might want to give ginger tea another real go-ahead. I did, I did enjoy teas the few times I've had them, but I don't get them often. The tank, healer, DPS are a good trifecta to work with as a start, right? Because it encompasses all of your all of your basal needs when considering from a combat and then therefore narrative perspective. Who is it? Who is the front guard dragging the attention off of everybody, acting as the bulwark for all? Who is taking advantage of the opportunities given by the one acting as a bulwark and advancing the plot forward or fighting off their foes? Who is ensuring that they're staying alive and healthy? Right? You see? It works for a reason. The reason being the effectiveness. So, is that a problem? Not at all. As I keep trying to hammer home to you guys, I don't think something being a trope, I don't think something being done repeatedly is or can be considered a mark against it. Sure, you're losing out on what? Novelty? On originality? Everything's been done before. Scrub that thought from your head. It'll only serve to hinder you, really. Sips more water, sips more ginger ale. How soothing. Might help, but it's still carbonation. Apologies. What was I saying? Distracted myself. Right. As I mentioned, like, I don't usually suggest that you break away from tropes as opposed to some advice you'll be given. Because if they're tropes, that means they work for a solid reason, right? But no, not a but. I'm not at all asking you to break away from that. In this case, like, yeah, it works for a reason. It is effective. It is the base needs of your party. That's why I said 3 minimum. Because your party, as I sip water, should. Sorry, that was ginger ale. I lied to you guys. Your party should cover each other's bases, right? That's the reason for the party. The reason is not really, oh, more bodies for the fire, whatever the fire may be in this circumstance. Oh, shout out to this likely expired bottle of whiteout I just found. That is an acrid scent. Why the fuck did I open it? What am I, stupid? Don't answer that. What was I on about? Um, what the fuck? I'm a clan? Ugh. What was I saying? Right. Your party should cover each other's bases, right? That's the point they're here for. They're not here to just be more bodies to throw on screen for the sake of throwing bodies on screen, warm or cold. The point, from the narrative perspective, from the pataphysics perspective, whatever, is that they're coming together to accommodate for one another. Just consider your main character from the perspective of the tank, right? They can block hits, right? They can maybe even sustain themselves or outright ignore certain things. But they're not the greatest at capitalizing on the room they make. That's where the DPS comes in. And then at that point, now that there are two targets who, or what have you, what exactly reason, or like, oh, maybe the stakes got raised and they find themselves getting hurt more often. That's when you introduce the healer. Or you can do it from the start. Either one works, right? But you see like the reason? Like yeah, the tank needs assistance to take advantage of opportunities, and the healer is there to be their fallback in case things go wrong, or just to allow them to tank more often, more effectively. It works because cooperation. They are using using as a negative connotation, but they are using each other to go farther, which is the point of the party. If your DPS could tank and heal, there is no reason not to be a one-man army. So don't do that. That's why I say 3 base. Those 3 specifically. Now you may be asking yourself, cheese_stick1. You said 3 to 5. Why do you think that? Well, because I think there are 2 more base archetypes to expand upon beyond that. Those being what I like to call control and leader. Control is what it sounds like. Stuns, push, pull, slows, and debuffs. Maybe even damage over time, but that feels more like a tank or DPS or healer job. So maybe not a utility-oriented role. Their utility being removing the abilities or utilities of the enemies. That is the 4th role I tend to find myself writing. Control. Control is a delicate sort of thing, and I really want you to consider their limitations, especially for control. But it is a great piece of your little party. And the 5th is what I quite simply call the leader, or the bard. Party-wide buffs, party face, the diplomat sort of thing going on. Giving the party their buffs, removing the party's debuffs, and usually something to do with speed for some reason, or crit chance or accuracy or whatever. Jester's Battle Ballad in Darkest Dungeon 1. If that makes sense. And maybe add in a bit of Mark. Though Mark might go with control, but up to you. I think that is the most you can do for that. Right, in terms of archetypals, that do not step on each other's toes. And you can even tell at the end there, I'm like, who gets the debuffing? Kind of tricky, because that might be leader as opposed to control. You might swap that over, and that's fine, that's acceptable. But I feel like once you're trying to put in more beyond that, such as specifically like, oh yeah, a ranged unit, now we're getting into they're stepping on each other's toes, because what's the difference between ranged and DPS when, right? Or is DPS ranged to begin with? Or like, you see how there's like starting to have issues stacking up when you do that? And granted, this is a bit of a straw man, I acknowledge that, but give it a go yourself and you'll hopefully see what I'm talking about. Um, I think those are the 5 archetypes that work, right? And you don't need 3 or 5. You can ignore a leader or you can ignore a controller at your whim. But also, more importantly, I don't think you can write for more than 5 people. Like I said, one of them is going to be the main character. The others are secondary characters, not side characters. And not main characters either. But they still have things written about them. They still are their own fleshed out characters. We just don't focus on them as much as we do the one character. And that's fine, right? Having a party composed of what are essentially 5 main characters is extreme in the first place. That is overkill. That is hard to keep track of both as the author and as the audience. But, why did I say but? What was my point? Take some ginger ale. I don't think you can do for more than 5, right? And sure, it's not like you're writing for 5 main characters, like I said, but there still is substantial heft to them. They still are fully fleshed out people with their own wants, desires, goals, and likes, dislikes, opinions on one another, opinions on things, drives, ambitions, moral codes even. Once you start and 5 might already be too much for some people. I don't think you should do more than 5. Not because I don't think you can do more than 5, even though I don't, but for the sake of your audience, who will then have to juggle too many characters. I had a thought and then lost it. Let's see here. Archetypes. What are the... I have been listening to a new song on repeat all day. That is... it's 3 words. SCP-5000, Suppress, Cleanse, Purge, SB Foundation theme, made by Ampersand. It is a great listen. I recommend it highly. It is lovely. The way it drops, oh my god, it's just so fucking good. Please go listen to it. It's amazing. So I am again having to refrain from mumbling the melody under my breath because hey, that's something I do, I guess. What was the thought? Is like I don't think you can write for more than 5. The audience will struggle to get more than 5. Cast below. That was what I was going to say. Thank you. I remembered. Oh, I almost knocked over my ginger ale. The reason is commonly known as cast bloat. Once you get more than 5, even if you do manage to get them all proper characters, ugh, I'm fine. That actually kind of helped. Oh, and then it didn't. Ginger ale. Ugh. Okay, that was better. Even if you do manage to write for more than 5, get all their characters in order, get all their interactions in order, properly flesh them out, give them proper roles in the party, how are you going to slot in all of these characters with proper amounts of screen time, as opposed to just relying on a certain number? Because sometimes you just do not have the narrative room for this many characters. Why is that an issue? Well, because now you start getting some characters, although they aren't, with how much they appear in the story, they start feeling underbaked, and that reflects poorly upon you. That is a bad experience for your audience. And worst of all, this means all the time you spent fleshing out these characters is completely wasted, given that they simply just don't appear enough scenes. Or suddenly it becomes obvious that you're really ending up trying to find ways to fit them in and then said fuck it to having it be natural and are now artificially slotting them in. Which is bad because like I mentioned constantly, you need to kill your darlings. You need to keep your story focused, right? Otherwise it'll start to take on a messy sort of appearance that's going to be largely incoherent. And that's never what we like to do as either the author or as the audience. I can speak firsthand from being both the author and the audience. As the audience, it starts losing me. I start losing interest in the story, and it starts being a chore to read, and so I'll just eventually drop it. And as the author, it becomes a chore to write, which I don't want. I want to write the story, but things are getting in the way of that. And if those things happen to be the size of the party, making me unable to utilize it to its full effect, and it will just be a black mark hanging over me as the sword of Damocles hangs above, well, I'll just step out of the way. I'll I'll cut the party size. It's fine. You're gonna need to iterate on things, so let the party size be one of the things you iterate on. More importantly, maybe not more importantly, another important note. How to expand upon that. You may have thought, cheese underscore stick one, didn't you already do that with the 325? In a way. I expanded upon the original trifecta. Give me a sec to get a little bit more ginger ale. This is I don't know if it's causing the issue or not. Another posture check. Please fix your posture. I'm serious about having a nice meal. I had an entire cut. Today, had an entire cut of flank steak, a large amount of steamed broccoli, and mashed potatoes. Let me tell you, it was fucking heavenly. I felt so stuffed. I felt like I had a proper meal. I ate for like 20 minutes straight and still wasn't done. And it made parts of my brain act up and tell you, no, that's bad. What you just did is awful. And you should feel sad for doing that. 20 straight minutes of nothing but eating and you're not even done, right? But I won in the end. I beat that fucker back into the back corner of my skull, polished off my plate, and laid down. And that was, oh man, that was so good. The meal was amazing. So please have a healthy, balanced meal. And if you notice, it's things I mentioned that are cheap. Flank steak's the cheapest. It's also the one you can buy the most of in bulk. Potatoes are generally speaking cheap, as is broccoli if you get the frozen stuff. Not hard to eat healthily on a budget. And sure, you can argue an entire cut of flank steak isn't exactly healthy, but hey, if you've ever seen me, you know I need to pack on the pounds. If you've seen me, I've definitely shown you the trick where I unzip my jacket and then pull my shirt taut and you can see my ribs even if I don't suck in my gut. I need this. Anyway, back to the point at hand. Expanding upon the archetypes. Cheese underscore stick one. Didn't you do that with adding the 5 to the 3? In a way, but not the way I'm talking about. Tanks do more than act as walls to have their health drained. The shield is a lot more than a piece of cover you cower behind. No, no, no. A shield works best when it's in motion. When you're meeting the blade and parrying it, batting it aside like a fucking fly. Right. Everybody thinks of tanks with these big, heavy, cumbersome weapons. I don't like thinking about that. The tank is literally best when it's sword and shield. Tower shield in sword route. Or kite shield and arming sword or what have you. Or, hell, even just as Vi Hunter. But they're doing great work parrying. Hell, your tank could have a fucking saber, and they're just nutty with the parries. Right? But do you see the point? And I don't mean dodge tanking, but do you see the point? Right? Although dodge tanking is valid. The point I'm trying to make here is like everyone sees the tank as this big lumbering slab of muscle who's kind of dull and is there to like take the hits for their allies and not really do much outside of that. Again, the tank is not there as they are there as the anchor, yes, but they're not there as the beating stick. They're there to give you openings to work with. They are clearing the crowd like Moses did the Red Sea. Right. They are they are controlling the flow of combat alongside, of course, your control unit, but they are controlling the flow of combat not by allowing them to do by removing their ability to do certain things, but by removing their ability to hit people specifically. Not by like slowing them down or stunning them or anything, but by just not letting them at all. I am here. I am a huge fucking issue right now. If you won't deal with me, I'll make you. And let me tell you, this ain't getting finished, right? When you make your characters, don't have them be like one note sort of, because that's the easiest, right? Especially because we're really combat focused and things like fantasy and all sorts of other genres there within. It's easy to think of them as just the guys the main character fights with. The TF2 soundtrack just got claimed? Damn. That's a shame. Good thing I don't use the music, I guess. What the fuck? I'm a clam? Who knows what I'm talking about? I saw it on the fucking Clamworks subreddit, because that's how the clam works. Uh, 500 years of violence. Anyway, my my most hated is when it comes to healers. They're always the softy, cutesy wootsy sorts of characters. That wasn't intentional, but that was hilarious. Sorts of characters that, oh no, I so hate seeing violence. Please keep them away from me. I can't defend myself. Idea. Grow a fucking spine. You will make your medic a 40-something-year-old hairy bear with a entire EMT duffel bag slung over their shoulder, who is sick of everyone's shit because, quite frankly, they didn't give you fucking permission to die now, did they? No, they did not. Take so many drugs to your circulatory system, get the fuck back on your feet, grips you by the lapel of your shirt, slams their skull into yours, and throws you back into combat because you're not fucking done, are you? Right? Medics do not have time for your shit. They are not fucking completely inept at defending themselves, and I hate that in stories oh so much. Or any piece of media, really. The medic's the lifeblood of your team, and they fucking know it. Your medic is armored. Get over it. And your DPS is more than just a fucking battle-crazed junkie maniac. I hate the haha, bards are horny stereotype because that just fucking sucks. Your party leader can be more interesting than just being the character trait of I'm the leader, because they can have, unique and complex opinions on things. Or if you can go for the easy, like, oh, I'm of a refined sort, darling, right? I only sample the best of wines and go to the grandest art galas. Because that's more interesting than just, I'm the leader. Smiles at you. Talk to me when you want me to lead you. Controls are always actually pretty good at being characters. Uh, Usually because they're fucking weird, but being weird is better than being one note. Take it from a weird guy. It's fun. Also, these archetypes can fit for literally whatever the fuck story you got. Right? Fantasy, it's easy. Healer is clerical in nature, usually. Tank is either barbarian or paladin style tanking. DPS is literally any martial, or hell, even some magic classes, right? A wizard is DPS. Well, utility too, but a wizard is DPS. Control is absolutely monk or druid, right? For the stuns and for the various control applications there within. Yeah. And I already said leader was bard. Or anyone with sufficient charisma, because they need not be literally a bard. How do we explain giving buffs? Have them be a tactician. They point out that column over there to the right. Their footwork is sloppy. If you aim low, you can stumble them, or something to that effect, right? They don't need to be a bard. They can be a fucking artificer, right? And they're just really good at knowing how explosives work. And hey, my crew's artillery. Allow me to be your spotter for a second, gents. And then this, the same goes for Cyberpunk. In this case, the controller would be someone more in line with tech. It would be your Decker or your Netrunner or whatever the fuck they're called nowadays. Tank would be fitted with all sorts of unique and interesting bionics. Uh, your leader would be, again, a tactician, maybe employing the usage of drones. Your medic would have some fucking stim guns, which is sick as shit, and also would be armored. Your medics are fucking armored. Your medics have armor. I am not negotiating on this. If you write a story, your medic has armor. They can defend themselves. I feel very strongly about that. If you couldn't tell. Mm. And I'm forgetting one, but I don't really give a shit right now. Oh yeah, DPS. All sorts of, rifles and shit. The gunslinger. Neo gunslinger, whatever. Or a street run if you're playing Shadowrun. I guess you're playing Shadowrun, you still also have Druid, but I think they're more DPS. I don't know. I'm interested in Shadowrun, but I mean, hey, it's not on the cards right now. Shame in it. How many of you feel that way? Oh fuck. knocked my phone over. So I just had to get the last dregs out of that can. There you are. Where's my water? First 3 sips will taste weird, but I'll get to that when I get to that. Right. Oop. That's fine. Right. These, like, archetypes can fit for any story. Contemporary, it's pretty obvious how they could fit for contemporary, right? Riot police, EMT officer, still a gunslinger, right? Control is like someone in like literally mission control. Sorry, not control. Um, Leader is someone like in mission control or is just like a sort of diplomat as character. And then control is just like also riot police, but they do a different thing as opposed to holding a shield. You see what I'm saying here? Like, yeah, these archetypes can fit for literally anything, for literally any genre. So take them, make them your own, except for, of course, your medic having armor and knowing they're the lifeblood of the team. They didn't fucking give you permission to die. Get off the ground now. Anyway. So, now, we should tackle why these people are a group in the first place. Why are they? That's for you to decide as the author, isn't it? Well, yes, it is actually. Thank you for answering that. That's very clever of you. You get a thumbs up from me. You'll get a second thumbs up if you can tell me what that means, however. What it means, and I have my second thumbs up in preparation if you got it right. What it means is flesh that out, right? Give them proper reasons to want to be together as a group. This can be through pre-established relationships, familial, romantic, or otherwise. Familial is obvious. Brother, sister, father, mother, son, daughter, child, sibling, parent, uh, cousin, aunt, uncle. I don't know the word, the neutral term for aunt or uncle. Right? Those are an easy in for why they're a group, as are romantic. Husband, wife, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, exes. Right? That's always a fun one. You don't see that so often done in stories, but I mean, shit, when it gets done, that's some good shit. And, of course, uh, I said platonic. Did I say platonic or did I say friendship? Or did I just say other? Long-standing friends, members of the same church, people who took the same oath, classmates, or frankly, fucking strangers. That is pretty. I'm just making sure I'm not gonna. Okay, so I'll talk about that when I get to this point. So I will make note for myself. Okay, that should do it. Uh, right. Actually put the, and then of course their overarching goal as a whole. Why are they here as a group in the first place? Because they share one common goal, that being whatever the plot says their common goal is. That sounds snide and assholish of me. I meant that literally, like, yeah, why are they here? Well, to conquer whatever's happening with the plot. I didn't mean to sound like a dick when I said it. But why did I say that, right? Excepting for betrayal scenarios, because those are pretty important to plan out thoroughly if you're going to do it for your power dynamics. So I'm not going to touch betrayals right now. That is indeed its own separate point. But for their overall goal, I believe they should be in line. They need not match 100%. They should be in line. When we get to this fork in the road, we're going right. We're not going left. Sure, you may want to go right 35 degrees, and I may want to go right 45 degrees, but we're still going right, is the example I'm giving you. If we are on a quest to turn the fucking sun back on, for whatever reason we need to turn on the sun again, when we get there, I don't suddenly want to have our party split up because all of a sudden, holy shit, 3 people didn't want to turn on the sun? What the fuck? Why did you think we came here? Avoid that. Like, that sounds like a neat, like, drama plot beat. Let me tell you, it's not as interesting to write or read as it is in your head. That is absolutely a darling you'll have to brutalize. Because she won't just lay down and die. Close your eyes, it'll be over quick. Stop fucking opening them as I stomp on its head with cleats. Now, what did I mean by that? It's sorely tempting, and it is sorely tempting to have your main party not agree, because that could lead to a lot of fun interactions. Don't do it. It leads to more complications than it does fun interactions. Take it from me, a man who had to kill his darlings. The first sip wasn't too bad, actually. Um, but and then they can still disagree on how to bring the sun back. One person thinks they should siphon off energy from a nearby star to pump it back into the sun to turn it back on. Another thinks they should seek divine guidance, divine providence. A third believes they can restart it with enough explosives, right? Give it a jump with chemical means as opposed to siphoning energy from a nearby celestial body. A celestial. Hmm. What is the word for that? Celestial nova. I don't fucking know. Um, but at the end of the day, they're still trying to turn on the sun again. Which actually sounds like a badass plot. Take that. I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna do nothing with it. I don't like sci-fi. Uh, but the point I'm trying to make here is that I want to hammer home right now. These people have the same goal. They may differ in execution, they may differ in method and practice, but they have the same goal. These people have history with one another, right? Or at least some of them do. They don't all need to have the exact same history, or they don't all need to have insert joke of a polycule stopping, I don't know, some god of death here. They don't all need to have the same backstory, right? They don't all need to have the same upbringing. They don't all need to be related to one another. But if they are, keep that in mind and make sure it's not just background noise. If they're married, they're fucking married. They're going to put the importance of their spouse over the importance of the person they're not married to because, hey, guess what, motherfucker? We're married. Till death do us part, I'm not letting death have you yet. And if I have anything to say about it, death never will. Idea. They have bonds with one another. Show that in writing, both in dialogue and in action. Action is one that goes understated because it's harder to do action. And I'm a sucker for a good spot of dialogue, but show don't tell exists for a reason, even though sometimes telling is fine. Do plenty of both. Not to sound like the enlightened centrist of, I think both things are good actually in moderation. But both things are good actually in moderation. Because would you believe it? The best of both worlds is like, it's like the best of, I don't know, both worlds? That's fucking ridiculous. That could never be true. Anyway, we'll take a brief pit stop to talk about tabletop. As in, tabletop etiquette, really. Tabletop, if you could believe it, is vastly different than writing a story. Stop the presses, I've made new advances. Like, yeah, no shit. Uh, back. Check your posture again. Keep your back straight. It's good for you. Do not completely fuck your spinal health and your leg health because they are related. Fuck, I'm a clam? Ugh. Anyway. What was on? Right. This is mostly just tabletop etiquette because, believe it or not, playing for tabletop, writing for tabletop, what have you, is vastly different than writing for story. Or even world building, who knows. Now, what does that mean? Tabletop etiquette. Well, It's stuff your party should have covered in session 0, but I feel the need to hammer home here right now, just in case you needed to hear it for whatever reason. Keep in mind, you are not the only person at the table. Other people are here playing this collaborative game with you. As such, give them time to do their own thing. They'll appreciate it immensely. In fact, it's fine to, above table, ask people things if they're fine with X happening during game. It's not metagaming, it's just being polite. You're allowed to ask, hey, can I do X thing with your character? Hey, can I know what's up with your backstory so I can try to weave organic ways for you to bring it up? Hey, is it alright if our characters have X scene later on, and I'll forward you the details later. I just want like a little confirmation here so I can start setting the stakes and stuff like that. Maybe not that last one exactly. You don't want to leave people in the dark when you're planning something along those lines, but like, keep in mind your players have their own agency. Do your best to not step on the toes of that, and if you are going to, ask them ahead of time, so that way you can all have fun and this at the game. This also, believe it or not, goes for your dungeon master. Absolutely take shit up with your dungeon master. It matters so much to keep them, of all people, in the loop. They need to know what the fuck is going on and what the fuck you're trying to do. Uh, as for if you, it might sound, but also your party too, because it might sound fun to go DM. Hey, can my party see? Can my member? Can I? Fuck. Can my character secretly be evil and working for the big bad evil guy the whole time, and it'll be a super neat, awesome, sick ass twist to do later? I mean, if I was a DM, I would tell you to your face, yeah, you're gonna need to tell the other party members that, because they might not like that. You need to get shit like that fucking verified by all it could affect, because you are no longer the sole proprietor of the story. The story is collaboratively done with other people, and their fun also does matter. Don't take shit from others either. If you don't like something, put your fucking foot down, yeah? You'll thank yourself later. Let me think real quick if there's other tabletop etiquette stuff I need to cover in terms of party members. Yes, during character creation, keep the others informed of backstory, should it matter, right? And keep them informed of like class you're doing, role you're going to occupy, and then just hash it out from there. That's important to get done very proper, like, because they're gonna need. Uh, as I fucking fiddle with my glasses, uh, they're gonna need to know because hey, again, group thing. Uh, the point here, right, is with tabletop, it's a lot easier to do a whole party group because for once it actually is a group of main characters because everybody has their own main character that they play. Not to say that you are the main character, no, there is no main character at the table. You are all collectively the main character as the players, not the characters. The point I'm making here is with tabletop, it is a collaborative space for the party. Take advantage of that. Talk to one another, plan with one another, engage in the material, not over one another, but with one another from varying angles as your characters. It is grand old fun, I'll tell you that much. As I close my teeth with an audible crash. Ooh, speaking of crash, my fucking energy just dropped drastically. I've been up since 5. It's 12 now. 5 a.m. I feel a need to clarify. And I went to sleep at roughly 2-ish. I'm dead tired. What the fuck? I'm a clam? What the fuck? I'm a clam? What the fuck? I'm a clam? Should your party split? Now, you may immediately have thought, no, what the fuck is wrong with you, cheese_stick1? And to that I say, you must play lots of tabletop game. you have realized overconfidence is indeed a slow and insidious killer. I raise this further question. Is it an issue with splitting the party, or are you just finding bad times to do it? No shit, we don't split in a dungeon. If we're in a city, we can split up. That's fucking fine. We're in a city. Worst that happens, we get mugged. Who gives a shit? Just gold. We can replace that. Uh, what do I mean? Sometimes it is perfectly acceptable and perfectly fine for your party to split. Usually during non-combat scenes or scenes where they don't believe they're going to be involving themselves in combat, or even sometimes during combat, in order to execute some sort of plan, usually a stealthy-oriented plan or a sabotage-oriented plan, but a plan that can only be executed, presumably, by application of, hey, you wait here, I'll come back in 20 minutes if I don't find me. Ideas. What are sometimes when the party should split? When they think they're safe, keyword being when they think they're safe. You can tweak the plot as you like, because hey, we're just fucking evil sometimes to our characters. I acknowledge that. But that's a good time to split the party when they believe they're safe. When they have not differing goals, but differing checkpoints. They have a quick stop that they might need to go to, so they're going to be away from the party for the foreseeable period of 2 months as they deal with land disputes in their homeland that simply genuinely cannot be held off at the moment. So I bid you adieu. I order my own carriage and I ride back home for 2 months, and I will meet you at, say, a point further in time. Hell, I might even be there ahead of you. We'll see. And they tip their hat and they trot off. Because it doesn't need to be for just a scene that they split off. They could be absent from the party for a while. This is especially great if you want to further the narrative on two party members' bond forming. So usually a romantic one, in this case being some sort of a bodyguard romance, which is very cute and I always love. Tank and DPS coming together and all that. Which one's the bodyguard, do you think, chat? Another time for when the party should split is during a small scene, such as gathering information, right? Because they're going to be good at it in different ways. The party leader is obviously going to put on a little bit of guile, a little bit of charm, and try to talk their way into some information. The tank might use their intimidating figure in order to get some information. DPS and control might bargain for it, etc., etc. You know, the medic may do some acts of goodwill in order to reap the rewards of information that come there within. Things like that. That's a great time to have the party split up, is when they're looking for more information during a lull in the plot, especially if it lets your main character be left with their thoughts alone for a while, so that way they can do a little bit of internal monologuing, so we can get a feel for how they're feeling in the story, because we experience things through the main character's eyes perception from their point of view. And that is important to keep in mind, that your main character is going to be affected by a bunch of shit, especially up to and including, believe it or not, your own fucking party. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. Damn, me popped something fierce. It was good though. Stretch the other leg. One more time, folks, check your posture. But it's fine to have your party split. Just, you know, there'll be organic moments where it can be weaved in, and if you think it's a good time right now, then go ahead and do it. Let's avoid the odd one out. Obvious tells for betrayals. Note that I did not say avoid doing betrayal plots. Betrayal plots are phenomenal if executed perfectly. But avoid it being obvious to the main character and to the rest of the party. There is a little bit of, I forget what kind of irony, a little bit of whatever irony, wherein the audience has more knowledge on the story than the characters do. This is a great time to use it, especially if you give them their own little mini scene where we are in the eyes of the soon-to-be betrayer, plotting and scheming against the soon-to-be betrayed. But during scenes where they are with the main party, they are acting frankly fucking normal. They're not named Backstab McEvil Guy or anything. They're not wearing incredibly obvious clothes. They don't have a habit of pointing out how many spine ridges you have and which place would be the greatest to slip a knife into. Because that's not how betrayals happen. There's always going to be things set up in the beginning. Maybe they're really good at avoiding certain hits that, hell, even the tank has trouble with shrugging off. Maybe they just happen to have weird-ass contacts all the time. Or maybe not all the time, or maybe just one time in a pinch they did, when everything was at the lowest moment. They came through like a light shining through darkness, and then snuffed it out months later. The issue is not that they are betraying the party. The issue is that most times I see this done is like there are so blatantly, glaringly obvious tells that the party does not capitalize on, despite presumably knowing each other very in depth for a long period of time. Anti-heroes being present, even though they shouldn't be so much as fucking tolerated. That one irks me especially, because if this is a group of heroes that explicitly do not kill and do not escalate, why is Action Hero McBadass Cool Guy the second here? The dude runs around with a sword the size of him called Void's Grasp, fucking beheading petty criminals. Why the fuck are they here? Break their nose and put them in jail. What do I mean by that? Their character does not fit the tone of the story. Their character does not fit the party's dynamic. And in fact, their character only takes up screen time, takes up time to argue for their ideals that will never be generally considered because of what kind of story we're putting right here, right now. They only serve as an obstacle most of the time, and not even an intriguing one. Just an annoying one for me, the audience, to have to sift through. Believe me, I'm sick of doing it. To the point where if I see anti-hero in tags, it's like almost never picked. And the same can go for an incredibly naive or overly optimistic main character in like a grimdark one, or hell, even in a gilded fantasy or some shit like that. Right? Just keep the tone of your group consistent, otherwise your audience will grow to resent that one character. I don't care if you're making a point, right? On the horrors of war, ergo the rookie who had barely seen a drop of blood gets fucking brutally killed after singing a song about hope and love. That's just gratuitous and quite frankly boring. I didn't like reading that, and you probably didn't like writing that. Who gives a shit, right? They were always waving around so many goddamn death flags that I didn't take them seriously from round fucking one. I'm gonna use the bathroom. Where the fuck is my mouse? The hell was I saying? Did I finish this point? I think I finished this point. Of, hey, a party member should be in line with the general theme or cohesion of the party and should not just stick out for the sake of sticking out or for the sake of a future plot point that is incredibly, like, how the fuck did they not see this coming? Are they stupid? We don't want to... Why didn't Batman just call the Justice League? Is he stupid situation? Yeah. Right? Rest in peace. Oh, man, I'm sorry for forgetting your name. Skadetcher? The guy who made the original Man Image, he is gone. I forget the reason why, but he is gone. It's a shame. How to emphasize character interactions. This is player dynamics, after all. So we're going to get into the dynamics of a party, if only just. Namely, how do they feel about each other? Now, I know I already mentioned familial, romantic, otherwise. How do they feel about each other, though? Are they brothers who have scorned each other for the sake of climbing the ranks of the social ladder, right? In their house or line to the heirdom to the throne or what have you? I already mentioned ex-lovers in terms of relationships, or are they like is the main character going to propose on the trip? Hmm? Are the oaths they've taken together going to be tested as like as in like paladins who share the same oath? Is one of the religious members going to struggle with their faith? And if so, how is the other one going to react? Are they going to be supportive? Are they going to be distant? Are they going to watch and see what they do before acting? Are they going to commune like normal, healthy adults? I guarantee you they're not going to do that, not in a story like these. But how do we emphasize that they actually talk to one another? Well, frankly, by having them actually fucking talk to one another. Discussions about what's happening are the easiest to do because it's simple to weave into the story because hey, they would naturally discuss the plot and how to move forward. But while they're discussing moving forward, an easy way to do something is say, all right, so I believe we should take the carriage up to I don't know, fucking Waterton, because I don't know, it's the first fucking thing that came to mind. And then maybe one of the characters will reveal that they've been there before. They know some of the cultural customs, and then they can get into it from there. A discussion. You can either lampshade it by going like, oh yeah, the discussion lasted for a few hours and mention key points such as their love of fried food and their bustling river port. And you can do like a cheeky tongue and thing like that, where like, oh yeah, the character who knows there just ramble about trivia for 2 hours. Or you can have an actual scene where they do the discussion, but you know, keep that relatively light. But you see, the point here is like, oh yeah, I can see them as being friends because they're talking to one another. I can see them as like being the same party member because they're amicable with one another during their speeches, or whatever. When they hold a feast, someone could start with a toast. It's really kind of simple. I don't want to say simple, but like ways to emphasize the character interactions are shockingly simple by having them interact as, hey, guess what? Characters. Discuss their hopes, discuss what they want to do when all is said and done, discuss their own interpretations of their religions. They can talk shop about their equipment. They can ask questions about another's equipment. They can work on projects, have hobbies, read a book, and then do things together beyond their fights, beyond their reconnaissance. They can just do things together. Two characters can just be the de facto cooks and always be around the cooking pot stirring and frying over coals, which would naturally lead to a little bit of conversation, but you don't even need to do that. It can be a quiet scene. They can just enjoy each other's company and the sounds of the frying eggs over the skillet, if you see what I'm saying. But one thing to keep in mind is that relationships advancing does not always mean positive. It can mean they have a falling out, which will, of course, naturally be pretty damn good for your story. I do say so myself. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I myself do say so. You can tell because I myself am saying these things. Why do I make it sound like I have a fucking gun to my head? Keep in mind, I don't, if you can believe it. Lord knows I scarcely can. I say a line to you, it's easy as fuck to believe. I'm the most believable guy on this side of the Mississippi. Believe it. Uh, am I hungry still? Damn it, that feels weird to know that I'm hungry. Ugh. Sorry, my head just started hurting. That's weird. Falling outs can be pretty good for your story, especially, during low moments and, the group dynamics as a result of that. Phenomenal. Just, keep in mind it's important to have your party actually interact with one another. Most important, is your party just fucking fun to read? Do I just enjoy reading them? They can be the most efficient sons of bitches this side of the Mississippi. If they're not fun to read, I simply do not care. They're all gonna have a few screws loose, and that's fine. Play that up. Or, maybe don't play that up, but like emphasize that. Push that to the forefront. These people are people. They just happen to be walking with one another. That's pretty important for your story, I'd say. Anyway, this is where I think I'll bid you adieu, as I think I have drained all I have to say on this. I am shocked I made it for an hour 10 for this. I figured it'd be a bit shorter, especially given last time it didn't even crest an hour. But I'm content with this as is. Let me know those things I mentioned earlier, such as like opinions on me giving those little writing prompt things during videos. Did you see my pal's video? Right? If not, give it a fair shake. He worked really hard on it. I loved the content. If you're watching this, mate, look forward to what you do next. Keep me in the loop. Eh? We can make a party of our own. I feel like I'm missing a few things, but it don't matter. Oh, right, yep. I'll leave you with this. Eat healthily, drink water, go shower, fix your posture. Believe me, fix your posture. And please give me the video ideas. Anyway, I'll actually bid you adieu this time. Have a good one, you lot. Night freaks.